Italy just made a decision that shocked NATO. After 10 years of development and 3 complete redesigns, the Italian military chose a service rifle that breaks every rule you thought you knew about modern infantry weapons. And the most surprising part is not the rifle itself, it is how they built it. When Beretta started this project in 2017, they did something no major firearms manufacturer had done before. They threw out the traditional playbook. No customer requirement list, no predetermined specifications. Instead, they walked into the headquarters of Italy's Tier 1 Special Forces and said, "Convince us what you actually need, not what you think you need, what you would trust your life to in actual combat." And what came out of that conversation changed everything. Most people have never heard of the Beretta NAR. The project was kept quiet for nearly a decade. No press releases, no trade show announcements. Just Italian Special Forces operators putting tens of thousands of rounds through prototypes in Arctic training, amphibious operations, and live combat evaluations. And here is what nobody expected. This rifle that looks like a refined AR-15 is not an AR-15 at all. No buffer tube, no direct impingement gas system, no feed ramps in the lower receiver. Everything you assume about how this platform works is wrong. And that is exactly why Italy chose it. Let's start with the development story because it explains why this rifle exists. In 2017, Beretta began working with the 9th Regiment, Italy's Tier 1 Special Forces. The goal was not to build another assault rifle. The goal was to create a platform that would evolve with the battlefield for the next 50 years. Not a rifle, a system. From the beginning, Beretta made a choice that most manufacturers avoid. They decided to prioritize consistency over peak performance. What does that mean? Most rifles are designed to perform exceptionally well under ideal conditions. Perfect ammunition, clean environment, new components. The NAR was designed to perform identically whether it is brand new or has 30,000 rounds through it, whether it is firing in Arctic cold or desert heat, whether it is using standard ball ammunition or armor-piercing rounds. That level of consistency requires a completely different engineering approach. The development process was brutal. Beretta went through 3 complete redesigns, not minor iterations. Complete startovers where they scrapped the existing design and began from scratch. The first iteration failed because they tried to make the rifle compatible with 7.62 NATO. The platform became too large. The 5.56 version felt oversized and awkward. The engineers looked at the prototype and made a hard decision: start over. The second iteration failed on ergonomics. They had built a mechanically sound rifle, but operators hated how it felt. The controls were not intuitive. The breakdown process was complicated. The trigger was acceptable but not exceptional. Another complete redesign. The third iteration focused on one question: how do we make this feel like an AR-15 while building something fundamentally better? That question led to the platform we see today. Here is what makes the NAR unexpected. It has no buffer tube. The AR-15 requires a buffer tube extending behind the receiver to house the recoil spring and buffer assembly. This limits stock options and makes the rifle longer when folded. The NAR eliminates this entirely. The recoil system is captive inside the upper receiver. This allows for a true folding stock that does not compromise reliability. Operators can fold the stock, throw the rifle in a pack, jump out of an aircraft, and deploy it immediately without concern. The second unexpected feature is the operating system. This is a short-stroke gas piston, not direct impingement. Gas is tapped from the barrel, drives a piston that strikes an operating rod, and cycles the action. All the carbon, fouling, and heat stays outside the receiver. The bolt carrier runs cleaner and cooler than any AR-15 ever could. Third unexpected feature. Feed ramps are integrated into the barrel, not the lower receiver. On an AR-15, the feed ramp is split between the barrel extension and the lower receiver. This creates a potential failure point, especially with armor-piercing ammunition that can damage aluminum lower receivers. The NAR solves this by machining the feed ramps entirely into the barrel. When you change the barrel, you get fresh feed ramps. Simple, elegant, reliable. The trigger surprised everyone who tested it. Beretta developed a 2-stage trigger with zero creep and a crisp break that feels like a precision rifle. not a service weapon. During testing, an Italian Special Forces operator told the engineers that with this trigger, even a rookie could hit targets at 500 meters. They thought he was exaggerating. He was not. The trigger is that good, straight out of the box, with no modifications required, and it maintains that performance through 30,000 rounds without degradation. Let's talk about durability, because this is where the NAR separates itself from every competitor. Beretta tested this rifle to 30,000 rounds without a single stoppage or failure, not the barrel. The entire rifle. Extractor, firing pin, springs, bolt, carrier, everything. Most manufacturers suggest barrel changes at 10,000 rounds. Beretta suggests barrel changes at 30,000 rounds, and even then, you only lose 5% muzzle velocity. The rifle is still fully functional. They are just maintaining peak accuracy. How did they achieve this? Material science and obsessive testing. Beretta simulated every component under stress before cutting metal. They used test benches that replicated firing stress without actually firing rounds. They 3D scanned components to detect microscopic cracks or defects before they became failures. They analyzed production variability to ensure that every rifle coming off the line performed identically. This level of quality control is almost unheard of in large-scale military production. The NAR passed NATO AC225 testing. Most people do not know what that means. AC225 is the NATO standard for service rifle adoption. It includes sand, mud, ice, salt water, extreme heat, extreme cold, and over-the-beach testing. Over the beach means you submerge the rifle in salt water, pull it out, and fire immediately without clearing or draining. Most rifles fail this test. The NAR passed without issue. Italian Special Forces then took the rifle into actual operational environments. Arctic warfare training, amphibious operations, desert deployments. The goal was to find the breaking point. They never did. Units reported firing over 10,000 rounds without cleaning and experiencing zero malfunctions. That level of reliability builds trust, and trust is what wins military contracts. Here is what makes this platform truly unexpected: modularity. The NAR is not just a 5.56 rifle. It is a family of weapons built on the same architecture. Beretta offers the NAR in 5.56 NATO, 6.5 Grendel, 6mm arc, 300 blackout, and 7.62x39. All using the same lower receiver, same fire control group, same stock system. You can reconfigure the platform for different missions by swapping the upper receiver and barrel. The handguard is quick detach and returns to zero every time. This matters because modern infantry weapons mount lasers and illuminators that must hold zero. Most quick detach systems do not return to zero reliably. The NAR does. 4-point contact on the handguard creates a solid lockup that maintains zero through hundreds of removal and reinstallation cycles. The gas system is adjustable with 2 positions, suppressed and normal. In suppressed mode, the rifle cycles reliably with any suppressor on the market without becoming overgassed or damaging components. In normal mode, the rifle runs every type of ammunition from cheap steel case to hot armor piercing loads without adjustment. This level of adaptability is critical for special operations units that cannot predict what ammunition will be available in theater. The stock system deserves attention. The NAR uses a side-folding, length-adjustable stock that locks solid when deployed. The locking mechanism is a single button that you press with your thumb and rotate 90 degrees. It locks automatically and cannot come loose under recoil. Even with the stock folded, you can access the safety and fire the weapon if necessary. This is not common. Most folding stock rifles become nearly unusable when folded. The NAR remains fully functional. Accuracy is consistent at 2 MOA, with standard NATO SS-109 ammunition. That is outstanding for a service rifle designed for high-volume production. Most military rifles struggle to maintain 3 MOA with issue ammunition. The NAR beats that by a significant margin and holds that accuracy through the life of the barrel. Maintenance intervals are designed around 30,000 rounds. At that point, you change the barrel. Everything else, the receiver, bolt, trigger, springs, continues functioning reliably past 50,000 rounds. This dramatically lowers life cycle costs and logistical burden, fewer parts to stock, fewer failures in the field, more rifles in service instead of in the armory waiting for parts. So why is this Italy's next service rifle? Because the Italian military learned a lesson that many other nations are still ignoring. You cannot design a service rifle in a vacuum based on spreadsheets and procurement requirements. You have to involve the end users from day one. You have to be willing to start over when the design is not good enough. You have to prioritize reliability and consistency over brochure specifications. And you have to test the weapon to absolute destruction before putting it in the hands of soldiers. Beretta did all of this. The result is a rifle that operators trust unconditionally. Here is what this means for the future. Other NATO countries are watching. The United States is still debating the next-generation squad weapon program. France, Germany, and the UK are evaluating their own modernization efforts. Italy just demonstrated that you can build a next-generation rifle on a realistic budget without exotic ammunition or unproven technology. The NAR uses standard 5.56 NATO. It does not require new supply chains or specialized training. It just works better than anything currently in service. And that makes it a legitimate contender for other NATO adoption programs. The NAR will officially enter service with the Italian military in 2026. Special forces units are already carrying it operationally. Regular army units will begin receiving it next year. Beretta is positioning this as an export platform for allied nations, and based on the performance data, they have a strong case. This is not vaporware. This is not a prototype. This is a fully tested, combat-proven system ready for large-scale production, and most of the firearms world has never heard of it. That is about to change. If you are wondering why this matters, consider this. The service rifle you carry defines your tactical capabilities for decades. The M16 entered service in the 1960s. Variants are still in use 60 years later. The rifle Italy chooses today will shape their military effectiveness until 2080. That is the timeline we are talking about. And they chose a platform designed to evolve. Beretta is not finished developing the NAR. The core architecture is locked. But the details, the accessories, the configurations will continue improving based on battlefield feedback. This is a living system, not a static design frozen in time. The most unexpected part of Italy's decision is not the rifle, it is the process. They proved that listening to operators, accepting failure, and restarting when necessary produces better results than rigid procurement timelines and political compromises. The NAR exists because Beretta was willing to fail 3 times to get it right, and Italy was willing to wait 10 years for a rifle that would last 50. That patience and commitment to quality is rare in modern military procurement. It is also why the NAR will likely outlast and outperform rifles developed faster and cheaper by competitors who took shortcuts. Time will tell if other nations learn this lesson. But Italy just set a new standard, and the firearms industry is paying attention.